Welcome to the FOS interview, Joey Logano. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
This is your, I think, second time with us in like 4 days because you did something pretty good. You won your third NASCAR Cup Series championship. I'm sure you've been asked a bunch of times, what does this mean to you? How special is this moment? I kind of want to change that up a little bit. After all this media circus that you're going to go through, when you go home, what's the first thing you're going to reflect on? And how's that different from the last couple of times?
I think the first thing that you want to do is to go see everybody, right? Because after the race, it was amazing, right? You saw them for a little bit, and then you get drug away, and you have to go do some media, you have to go do a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff that happens. It's all great. But, like, I want to go home and see my family. I want to go home and see my team again. I want to go see their families, like, and all celebrate together for a longer period of time, right? And enjoy it, which we will get the opportunity to do that, which is it's happened every other time. So I look forward to that, our banquet coming up. Those would be great. But the pictures and the video clips of us after the race, those are the things that will last forever. Those are the things that mean the most. Like, the trophy's great, but it's really the pictures that bring back those memories.
Yeah, and you're talking about being with people. One of the things that struck me about your win is that you won by 0.3 seconds over 0.3 of a second over your teammate. Right. And I remember after the race, he said it was you're one of the best ever, and he had that respect for you. But you also said today on the Day Show that it was kind of an awkward duel. How does that happen? Like, do you guys have a conversation beforehand? Like, hey, we're friends, but we also have to compete for this prize that we all covet?
Yeah, it's a tricky spot to be, because in no other sport do you go head-to-head with your teammate. And I think the most important thing for us in that scenario, because Blaney's a fantastic race car driver as well, and he's really, really fast. Like, his strength is his speed. Kid's fast. I say kid, he's not a kid anymore, but he's young to me. But he's really fast. And I knew that it was going to come down to the both of us, but we had to have the attitude that I had to at least have the attitude to say, I'd rather finish second to Blaney than beat him and finish third in this championship. Because the team win means a lot, right? It means a lot to Roger Penske, it means a lot to Ford, it means a lot to all our sponsors, all the people working at the shop. There's 400 employees working at Team Penske. They're counting on us not to screw that up, right? And so to get a 1-2 finish like that is great. Now, obviously, you want to be the one that crosses the line first. Obviously, because you're the one that gets the trophy, right? Second place doesn't get all those things, but you have to somehow remove yourself a little bit from that selfish motive to understand the bigger picture, which is very hard to do in the heat of the moment, right? Because you want to make it happen, but and of course, it just came down to that. We're racing side by side for the win, the last 15 laps, and really the majority of the race. So of course, it had to go that way, but I'm glad it all worked out.
And it's cool that you guys still have that respect, right? Like, no matter what happens. Shifting gears a bit, we are Front Office Sports. We talk about the business of sports. And one of those things that happened that was big in a conversation is the playoff format of NASCAR, or the playoffs having a playoff format. And I'm sure everyone's talked to you about this, but I want you to make your pitch, because the first thing you said when you got out of that car and got that post-game interview was, I love the playoffs. The playoffs are cool. What's that pitch for any of the detractors of this format?
Yeah, I guess, you're in media, so you understand. Most people like to complain. It's easier to complain than it is to give a compliment. And this playoff system's not new anymore. It's 11 years old. We've been doing this for a while. And I think what happens is a couple of drivers are a little bitter about it, and they mouth off, and the next thing you notice, some media members grab a hold of it, and then the fans grab a hold of it, and that kind of creates its own little thing, and it goes. But I think you got to take a step back sometimes, because it's easy for us to look back at things and say, the good old days. Oh, in the good old days it was like this. The good old days it was like that. Was it, though? Was it? I don't know, right? Like, I look at what the playoffs, or really the championship for NASCAR used to be. It used to be 36 weekends. And it was just whoever scored the most points. So with 3 or 4 races to go, they're crowning the champion, and the last 3 races of the year don't matter. No one's going to watch that. it doesn't even matter. It's over, right? Or the guy's so far checked out that no one's even thinking about it. And it even happened like that when it was a 10-race chase that we used to do, where it's 10 weeks of when the cars that got in the playoffs. Now you have these do-or-die moments where you got cars that got to go. Like, you got to go or you're out. You got to win or you're out. I think that's great. We also have the playoff points that you can accumulate during the first 26 races of the regular season that gives you an advantage going into the playoffs. Happens in every sport. The playoffs happen whether it's in, NASCAR, the NHL, the NBA, the NFL. You can have a great regular season, but you still have to show up in the playoffs if you want to get to the finals. It's the same thing for us. I don't know why we would change that. It's very entertaining. I think it's just watching as a fan. It's great.
Well, one thing that is changing though next year is an in-season tournament is coming in.
Yeah.
And we spoke. Front Office Sports spoke to CEO Steve O'Donnell recently, and he said that a lot of the drivers were the ones who actually were pushing for this. I'm curious for you. What are you excited? What are you looking forward to when that comes in next year?
I think it's great. Problem is, we're all going to do it for 10 years, and someone's going to not like it. Like everything else, right?
There's always going to be someone.
Someone's going to say 10 years from now they don't like it, but I think it's a great idea. Anytime you can add another storyline, I think that's cool, right? You got head-to-head battles throughout the race. That part of the year, it's never boring, but there's not as much going on. It's not the freshness of the new part of the year. It's not quite to the guys trying to get into the playoffs where they have to do something to get in. There's a cut line to get into the playoffs. It's the middle. And it needs a little something to spice it up. I think it's cool to have a little tournament like that.
One last question for you. I know you just hoisted this a couple of days ago, and you're still in this. This is still your career, but we are, again, the business of sports here. And I'm very curious, for you, are there any other things outside of sports that you're looking to? I mean, you speak very well. Is it a media thing, things like that you've been looking at already, even within this, 16-year career you've had?
I've always tried to challenge myself outside of the sport. I say it all the time that being a professional athlete, that's like the cheat code in life. Because, yes, it's a lot of work, but it's different than building your own business and growing something from nothing, right? Like, I jumped into what Team Penske is, and it's been great and it's been successful, but I didn't build something from the beginning. So there's things like that I aspire to do someday. I can't do those things at the level that I expect to do things right now because I drive race cars, and I love doing that, and it works really well. But I enjoy doing TV. I do a lot of the Xfinity broadcasts for the last 10 years or so. I've enjoyed doing that. So TV is something I like doing. It's honestly a lot easier. There's no pressure compared to jumping in a race car. So I enjoy that part of it a lot. I assume that's probably something I'm going to want to do when I am done. I just don't know when I'm going to be done yet. That and Lord knows where life takes you sometimes. It's hard to call the future a lot of times.
I love how you're like, oh yeah, there's not a lot of pressure, whereas most people who are sitting in front of the camera are like, this is so much pressure. But Joey, thanks so much for joining us, and congratulations.
Absolutely. Thank you.